Funding for the Iowa Girls High School Softball Championships is provided by
The path to greatness starts early. The Iowa Farm Bureau believes in Iowa's youth and their pursuit of greatness. That's why we're proud to be the title sponsor of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Each student's effort is important, and when one rises, we all rise to a better Iowa.
Fairway, along with Nabisco, Frito-Lay, and Sara Lee, is a proud sponsor of the Iowa Girls Sports Championships. We congratulate all the schools and student athletes participating in this year's Girls High School State Softball Championships. Fairway, proud to care for the places we work and live. By Musco Lighting, the sports lighting specialists, providing lighting systems for you, your project, and your community. The 2018 Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Iowa Farm Bureau State Championships. And it's also the last day of the 2018 season. It is beautiful weather here in Fort Dodge. We have 3 softball games. We'll send home trophies to new owners after these games. Could one be going back to Davenport Assumption as they arrive? They're the defending champ, and they'll be playing Roland-Story here in Class 3A from Harlan Rogers Field. Good afternoon, everybody. Paul Yeager alongside Laura Leonard and the entire IPTV sports crew. And Laura, Assumption knows how to play here. In fact, they played over 2 days in a championship game last year that went over and over, but they're facing a team that is no stranger to Fort Dodge in the old days. But in the modern era, Roland-Story is new to the tournament.
Well, they are. It's been a long time since they've been here. 29 years, in fact, since Roland-Story has made the trek up to Fort Dodge. But they're a team that's on fire. They're the 6th seeded team in this tournament, but they're making some noise.
They have 6 seniors, and they're led in the circle by Riley Holmgren, and also from the bat, Madison Frias. She's their team's top hitter. She's really hit it well. They're going to be facing an Assumption team, defending champ, 55 straight wins snapped in the midseason. This is a team that puts a lot of pressure on you, and they're going to try to do the same thing today.
Well, that's what they like to do. They do like to put the pressure on. They like to have the opponent make the mistakes. That's kind of their way they operate, but they also have gotten really good hitting, and their pitching is extraordinary. They lost a catcher and a pitcher from a year ago, but they have just reloaded, and they are tough in the circle.
And now let's go to Jason Esslinger to get our day started.
Gentlemen, the Jack North Award is presented annually to the senior outstanding softball player from the previous year's state tournament. The award is named in honor of the former Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Information Director. Presenting the Jack North Award is Greg Defoe, President of the IGHSAU Board of Directors. The recipient of the Jack North Softball Award is Nicole Timmons from Davenport Assumption. Nicole was dazzling in pitching the Knights to the 2017 Class 3A State Championship. She recorded 3 wins on the mound while giving up just 6 hits the entire tournament. She struck out 41 batters in 3 games, including a record 20 in the championship game against Albia. Nicole just completed her freshman season at Drake University, where she was a key piece of the Bulldogs' record-setting season. She collected 14 wins and earned second-team All-Missouri Valley Conference honors. Congratulations to the 2017 Jack North Award recipient from Davenport Assumption, Nicole Timmons.
She was outstanding last year in that title game.
She was amazing. You heard the PA announcer talk about her performance. 20 strikeouts in that ball game, set a record, and she was just amazing. Those hitters could not touch her, and what a great honor for her to be able to get the Jack North Award and have her sister at her side as well.
And Mom is here, so Mom and Dad got to see it, and yeah, sister might get a chance to pitch today.
I think we'll see her. That would be my guess.
So the other thing about Timmons, remember, she was taken out after that 20th strikeout because the coach, Ron Farrell, wanted her to get an ovation from the crowd. And she was a big one.
It was, and it was well-deserved, and it was an impressive performance. We've seen a lot of really good pitching performances throughout our time here at Fort Dodge. That was one of the tops.
And we'll see if one of these pitchers can do the same thing, duplicate. Well, let's meet our players here with Tom Fitzpatrick.
To Rogers Sports Complex in this 3A state championship game between the visiting team, the Roland-Story Norsemen, and the home team, the Davenport Assumption Knights. Let's first of all meet the non-starters for the visitors from Roland-Story. Number 1, Allie Ringsby. Number 5, Reagan Schmitz. Number 14, Madison Geis. Number 17, Madison Jernagle. Number 18, Tori Fournier. Number 21, Dana Vinson. Number 22, Madison Martindale. Number 23, Emily Berggren. Number 26, Ellie Erickson. Number 28, Macy Friest. Number 29, Taylor Jensen. Your assistant coaches for the Norsemen, Amy Adams, Jared Staten, and Brandon Geis. And now, here's your starting lineup. For the Roland-Story Norsemen, leading off and playing shortstop, number 3, Susie Weaver. Batting second at third base, number 15, Madison Friest. Batting third in center field, number 16, Jenna Clark. Cleanup hitter for the Norsemen and doing the catching, number 20, Haley Lowe. Batting fifth and doing the pitching, number 27, Riley Holmgren. Batting sixth at second base, number 19, Sydney Mathis. Batting seventh at first base, number 7, Jessica Hovik. Batting eighth, the designated player, number 12, Allison Coughlin. Batting ninth, the right fielder, number 10, Julianne Clark. And your left fielder, flex player, number 4, Talon Phillips. Head coach of Roland-Story, Amber Doyle. Now let's meet your non-starters and assistant coaches for the home team from Assumption. Number 1, Maddie Loken. Number 3, Aaron Ackerman. Number 6, Lauren Loken. Number 17, Paige Madden. Number 20, Katie Anderson. Number 21, Lauren DeYulio. Number 32, Sydney Rowe. And number 41, Allie Timmons. Your assistant coaches, Mike Ackerman and Caitlin Andreessen. Now here's your starting lineup for the Assumption Knights. Leading off and playing second base, number 2, Olivia Wardlow. Batting second in center field, number 22, Leah Nelson. Batting third and doing the catching, number 36, Anna Woolers. Cleanup hitter for the Knights, the pitcher, number 27, Hannah Kelly. Batting fifth at third base, number 34, Carly Salmon. Batting sixth, the shortstop, number 35, Nicole Yoder. Batting seventh in left field, number 12, Emma Johnson. Batting eighth, the designated player, number 29, Hannah Wislander. Batting ninth, the right fielder, number 37, Olivia Allen. And your first baseman, flex player, number 44, Libby Madden. Head coach for the Knights, Ron Farrell. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the home plate area. The umpire is assigned to this contest by the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. At first base, Roger Menke. At third base, Jerry Bohe. And calling the balls and strikes this afternoon, Mike Crozier. All right, who's ready for state championship softball?
I'm ready, Laura.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. You're ready. Let's get a look at, as we see the introductions, let's see where they play in the field. Emma Johnson in left, Leah Nelson in center, and Olivia Allen in right. And on the infield, Carly Salmon, Nicole Yoder at short, Olivia Wardlow at second, and then Hannah Wislander, a late game change, will now play first base. In the battery, Hannah Kelly will be throwing to Anna Wohlers, the freshman. Kelly pitched last season, and she's now pitching this season, Laura, with great success.
Well, as we saw earlier, the Jack North Award, they lost their pitcher in Nicole Timmons. They have just reloaded right in the circle with Hannah Kelly and her sister Allie Timmons. So they're a very potent 1-2 force out there on the mound.
Kelly will play at the next level, but it'll likely be in the field. Here is what she's been doing as a pitcher this season, 22-1 with a .44 ERA. She doesn't strike out as many as Timmons, but she allows contact to happen, and that defense then has to come up. And this is what the Roland-Story defense will do, is they try to put it in play. They'll lead off there. You see Susie Weaver in the on-deck circle. Then Madison Frias, Jenna Clark, the catcher, another great player that we'll talk about, Haley Lowe, that is, and Riley Holmgren, the pitcher, Sydney Mathis, Jessica Hovick, Allison Coughlin, and Julianne Clark. So if you are Roland-Story today, Laura, what do you have to do to win?
Well, I think the first thing that Roland-Story needs to do is have disciplined at-bats. They need to be very selective at the plate. You know those pitchers are going to be around, but you got to get your own pitch to hit and be comfortable with it and stay in control. Don't get too high, don't get too low. You've got to have the upper hand, and you've got to show that Assumption that you do have the upper hand. And then for Davenport Assumption, they need to use their speed, and they force mistakes. That's what they've done all season long, and have that clean defense. No errors. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't try to do things too quickly.
Well, in a big game like this, you're trying to press just a little bit, but you just got to play in yourself, and the first pitch is out of the zone. We are underway at 3:41 on this beautiful Friday in Fort Dodge. It's the Class 3A State Championship. The second pitch is fouled off into the screen, off to the left. And the count is even at a ball and a strike. A little bit of a breeze, Laura, moving from left to right. Last night, the wind, a little bit of a problem in those two games. We'll see how it factors in today as Kelly winds and fires, and that one outside. She's gone outside now twice on those two pitches.
And they're just trying to test the zone. They want to figure out what the umpire is going to call and how far, how high, and how low his zone is going to be. And they're just trying to figure it out. Maybe a few nerves there for Hannah Kelly as she's trying to overthrow a few things.
Weaver in the semifinal was 1 for 4. And now she's going to go down to first and draw a walk to start the game. And here's the thing about Kelly. As you see this pitch, ball 3 was high. Ball 4, they're going to call high.
High and inside. She's working both sides of the plate, just has not found a rhythm yet.
Kelly had walked 6 in the tournament, now 7, as Madison Frias looks at a called first strike at the knees.
And that's what a good catcher, Wohlers, will do. Step out, talk to your pitcher, calm her down a little bit, have her throw a pitch that she has confidence in, and get it over for a strike.
The 0-1 hit Frias in the arm, and now there's 2 on, nobody out, and Jenna Clark, the third place hitter. This one just kind of got away from her, from Kelly.
It did. It just moved on her. She puts a lot of spin on her pitches. That one, a little over-rotation, got up and in on the hands of Frias.
So Weaver goes down to second. Frias goes to first, and coming in is Jenna Clark. Nobody out here early on. Shows bunt. And she got a piece of it.
I think she got a piece of Wohlers, too, as that ball came off the bat. You could see that Wohlers pulled her hand back, maybe got the fingertips a little bit. But you have to figure in early on in this ball game, you do want to get 2 runners into scoring position.
And that second pitch is fouled away on the bunt. Now you're down 2 strikes. Is it normal for your third place hitter to be showing bunt? Don't you normally in that 3-hole swing away?
You know, every coach has a different philosophy, but I would think early on in a ball game against the defending state champions, you want to do what you need to do to get the most runners in scoring position.
Ground ball to second, over to second for 1, on to first. No, not in time. The fielder's choice goes 4-6 to erase Frias. Weaver goes to third, and Clark will be there to now have first and third with 1 out.
On the outside corner, she goes with that pitch, and a good job. Wardlow gets over there and smothers that ball. Tries to see if she can get the ball turned. Got that relay over to Yoder quickly, just couldn't turn it.
Haley Lowe. She looks in. She has RBIs. The run, the throw down the third is cut off by Wardlow, and now it'll be second and third. So the force is out, but both of your runners are in scoring position if you're Roland-Story.
Yeah, you're in the same situation that you would have been in if the bunt would have gotten put down with Clark.
And now we're having a little bit of...
Oh, time. You're on. First base.
Okay, we're going to have an intentional walk given to Haley Lowe. And that's a different rule this year where they just say go to first. They don't even bother with the pitches. So Lowe goes down to first on the intentional pass. That'll bring in the pitcher, Riley Holmgren, the senior. In the quarterfinals, she was 2 of 4 with a double. She's got some help herself, right? Isn't that what you say when the pitcher comes up?
Help yourself, exactly.
First pitch called is a strike.
She has the opportunity to make some noise here early on in this ball game. What a position to be in for a young lady with bases loaded, 1 out. You're the pitcher for your team, and you have the opportunity to give your team the lead.
The 0-1 gets out of the zone. Good stop by Wohlers to pull that pitch back in from Kelly. Weaver's at third. Clark at second. Lowe at first. Holmgren at the pitch. Swung on and missed. A ball and 2 strikes now.
And Jenna Clark out there on second base, giving Holmgren a little direction as to where that pitch might be, where they're going to set up.
Fouled into the screen behind home.
And I think sometimes that's helpful and sometimes a little distracting for the hitters. But I think with that pitch right there, Holmgren knew they were going to the outside corner. She was able to look out there and foul it off.
We'll do 1-2 again. Ripped left side. They're coming home. Out at the plate to on to first. Safe. Here comes a run to score, and will. Runners go up to second and third. Good hustle for Roland-Story. Jenna Clark is safe, and the Norse strike first.
That's good coaching over there at third base as well. Just keep that runner going. And as you can see, Wislander over there at first turns to look at the umpire to see if they got that double play turn. That split second allowed the runner to come home.
Number 1, please.
Coming in to be the courtesy runner will be Allie Ringsby. She'll go down to second for Holmgren. Life moves at you pretty fast, Laura, in a situation like that. That's the exact thing we talked about in the Open. This is what Assumption likes to do to teams, and here is Roland-Story trying to turn the tables.
Well, the one thing that Assumption, they like to do, their motto is push, 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 and then press even more, break that opponent down if they can, and so a little taste of their own medicine, and that's just heads up on all parts, coaching, base running, knowing what the situation is, and never letting down for 1 second.
Sydney Mathis is now behind 0-2. The changeup is in there, called third strike, called 1-1. So the scoreboard said 0-2. Our graphic had it right. Now it's 1-2. My apologies there.
Time. Got for a count, Roger.
We're going to check the count, so see, we're not the only ones that are confused.
Hold on. What do you have for a count? You're 1-1? Yes. 1-1, okay. I pulled it wrong then, huh? Okay. 1-2.
So Mike Crozier, unfortunately, gets his name on the television for that, but he goes to his crew of Roger Menke and Gerald Bowley. Now, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mathis. Popped up, getting close to out of play, and reaches the stands on the first base side. The Roland-Story fans in white, they've got the Norse logo on their shirts. Everybody's got a different shirt when they come to state. Theirs are the smart ones for a day game. Yeah. The 1-2, out.
And good crowds for both teams here representing and here to cheer on their schools.
2-2 to Mathis, the senior. Change up, pulled foul on the left side.
Mathis doing a good job battling that pitch from Kelly. That off speed is just kind of floating in there on the inside corner. It gives you the opportunity to adjust the hands at the plate.
Popped up out of the stands again. And now, this is the 8th pitch of the at-bat, and we've seen a couple of those. Who do you think has the advantage in an 8 or 9 pitch at-bat?
You know, it's interesting because we've talked to the players.
Hopped up towards right, back to make the play. The wind takes it away from Olivia Allen, but she's able to corral it to get the 3rd out. The Norse leave 2, but they do draw the first run of the ball game. And now they'll go out to play defense in this formation. Talon Phillips in left, Jenna Clark in center, and Julianne Clark, her sister, in right. Madison Friest at third, Susie Weaver at short, Sydney Mathis at second, Jessica Hovick over at first base, and the battery is Haley Lowe, and her pitcher is Riley Holmgren. And Holmgren this season, only her first year of playing for the Norsemen. She'd been playing travel ball. This year she comes out, has an 18-3 record, over 150 innings, an ERA of .77. Opponent's only batting .168, but I don't know if she's played many lineups like she's about to face right now, Laura.
Not a lot of holes in the lineup for Davenport Assumption. They are strong top to bottom.
And this is that order. Olivia Wardlow will lead off. Leah Nelson, Anna Wohlers, Hannah Kelly, Carly Salmon, Nicole Yoder, Emma Johnson, Hannah Wislander, and then Olivia Allen is your lineup for Coach Ron Farrell and his Davenport Assumption Knights as they do battle here in the bottom half of the first. They're playing this game of the day. They don't have the lights on, which is fantastic for Assumption. We'll get into that a little bit and talk about last year's championship game where Assumption played. But right now, it'll be Wardlow, who in the semifinal game, she was 2 of 4, and in the quarterfinal game, she was 3 of 4. So Wardlow having a great tournament. Takes the first pitch. It's ground ball to second base is Mathis to Hovick, and there's one away on one pitch.
And Assumption is going to be aggressive at the plate. We saw them in the semifinals go after that first pitch, and they're going to be aggressive. They like to put the ball in play. They get those runners on, and we talked about stolen bases and their speed. Number 1 in 3A in stolen bases, 165 stolen bases on the season coming into the tournament.
Almost 65 more than the closest team, in the second place team in the field. So they do like to run. So if you're Holmgren and you know they're going to be aggressive, what are you trying to do pitch-wise? Lifted in the air between right and second, coming in and making the catch. Wow, showing focus there is Julianne Clark. So I've noticed early on, Laura, it looks like Riley's trying to go out and up. Is that what you're trying to do if you know this team is trying to be aggressive?
Well, a lot of times aggressive teams are pull hitters, they're power hitters, and this team is no exception. And you look up and down this lineup, Wardlow starts off the lineup for Assumption, hitting over 500. Then you have a 300 hitter, a 350 hitter, a 400 hitter, a 400 hitter. So you know that they hit for power, they're gap hitters. So you just have to try to keep them off balance. You've got to show them some different pitches. You've got to move the ball around the zone. If they're crowding the plate, you want to get them off the plate. Those are just different things that you do just to keep them off balance.
Well, Wohlers is one of those 400 hitters. She's batting .417 coming into the tournament. She's a freshman, and she had big shoes to fill as she watches a pitch sail high out of the zone. Valinas last year, Emma, just an incredible player, goes on to UNI. Wohlers doesn't even miss a beat.
No, she stepped in very nicely and asked her a little bit about, what did you learn from Emma Valinas, watching her behind the plate? She said she was a great teacher, a great mentor, learned a lot of things from her. And now it's her opportunity to become that next great catcher for Assumption.
The 3-1 is pulled to the right side, and again it goes 4-3 as Sydney Mathis as the Knights are retired in order. And a limited pitch inning as well for Holmgren there. And how these teams got here, as we talk about days and nights, well, Assumption played on Monday. They had to start the tournament on Monday. There was top half of the 3A bracket as Assumption beat Benton Community in a game that was close until the 5th, and then Assumption scored 10 unearned runs in that game. They beat Humboldt in the semifinal to reach the title game, whereas Roland-Story knocked off Waterloo Columbus, and then Albia, who was in the tournament final last year against Assumption, was trying to get back for a rematch. And that's how you got Roland-Story and Davenport Assumption. That Albia Assumption game last year, Laura, that started at 11:40 on Friday night because we had the 16-inning game beforehand. These Knights, some of them went home that night. Some of them went to hotels and slept for an hour or two. Some got on a plane and went west to California to play in a tournament. They just kind of delayed their departure.
You know, I think the thing that was so impressive to me about that was how they spent their time during that 16-inning game. They didn't get out of sorts. They had a little dance-off. They had a little sing-off. They played a little hacky sack out in the beyond the fence. And so they bided their time. They were relaxed. They knew what they were here for, and they didn't let them get to them at all.
As this pitch by Hovick is going to drop in front of the left fielder Johnson. And Hovick takes the second pitch, and that is the first hit of the game for either team. And a first for the Norsemen as Hovick shows bunt and then just flicked the wrists and dropped it, as we're going to have a different runner. Coming back in again to run is Ringsby. So this is a pinch run.
1 for 6.
This is a pinch run situation, not a courtesy runner because Hovick plays first. But it is the same runner in Ringsby. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I believe then they can continue to use her as the runner for Holmgren if she gets on.
That bunt is laid down right in front of the plate, picked up and thrown is Hannah Kelly as she retires Allison Coughlin, who moves up the runner. That was the first successful bunt we've seen today from the left side. Gets it down. Coming into crash was Wislander, and covering was Wardlow. So the play actually goes 1-4. And that brings in Julianne Clark.
But what a great job by Coughlin, knowing what her job was, what the coach was asking her to do. She stood right up there, got the bat at the right level, laid it down, moved the runner.
Clark plays right, is a sophomore, rips it towards the left side in the hole. It's going to be no play, as both third, Salmon, and Yoder at short went for it. Yoder had to go in and out of the glove. And now Clark is going to be called out because Kelly was back in the circle, I believe, when she made her move to first. Is that what just happened, Laura, I believe? Let's see it again.
Well, there's the ball, keeping it in the infield. You've got the runner going to third in Ringsby, and the ball gets back over to Kelly, and Clark needed to retreat to first or commit to second. She can't just dance around out there.
And so now what would have been a first and third situation with 1 out is now a runner at third and 2 outs, but the top of your order up with Susie Weaver. Right, but they're calling it an error on the scoreboard. Now they've switched it. All right. So it was initially called an error. Now it's called a hit on Clark, and then she would be retired. I believe 1-3. That's how that goes. Okay. The 2-1 is just past the pitcher. That's going to be tough. The throw to first in time. What a play!
Boy, that was bang, bang over there at first, and very close play. Coach Doyle not happy with that call. And
slow roller, got past Kelly, and Wardlow got there through it. Roland-Story thought Weaver was past the bag. The umpire said otherwise. And we'll have the bottom of the second in a moment.
tell me about the runner at first. The ball was in the circle, or?
It's easy to get excited about all of the beautiful produce at the farmer's market, but then what do you do with it when you get home? Don't worry, we've got you covered. On the next Iowa Ingredient, two of our favorite chefs, Katie Meyer and David Borusio, will share some tips and recipes to help you get the most out of your market fresh foods. It's all on a special farmer's market episode of Iowa Ingredient.
Saturday morning at 11:30.
Do you Snapchat? So does IPTV. Add Iowa Public TV or snap our code. Get live peeks at our productions as they happen in real time. See exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Connect with all our social networks by visiting iptv.org/social.
All right, so Laura, we had a chance to get a little clarification on what happened there in the first, or in the second.
Well, the runner needs to commit, either go to second base or go back to first. Can't dance around in between the bases once the ball gets back to the pitcher in the circle.
So here is the look at the play. You can see she's committed 3 steps. She's dancing, and the girl and the pitcher Kelly is in the circle. So the umpire right there was on top of it. Okay, you got it right.
That was by sheer luck too. I'm telling you.
Hey, I'd rather be lucky than good. What is luck? Opportunity meets preparation, and I believe you've done both, Laura.
Ooh, I hope so. I hope so. That's the first time I really have seen that call, and I know that you do have to make that commitment. You can't just stand, go back one way, look like you're going to go to second.
Kelly's hit is lifted towards left, and it's caught by Phillips. Well, here's the thing. You can go, because what you're trying to do is go first to second, because you know that if they make a play on you, you send your runner at third home.
Great.
You can go, you can walk if you want. You just can't go left to right, back and forth. You have to commit one way or the other. Because you've seen the slow walk or the slow trot.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it, you know, is just a situation you get caught up in that moment, and as the runner, you're trying to make them make that play on you to get them to throw it to that side of the diamond to try to get that run across.
Carly Salmon at the plate now, the sophomore, 347 hitter on the season. She bats here in the second with 1 out and a 1-1 count. And that's a called strike.
You know, we haven't really talked a whole lot. We have talked about the wind. It seems like it's died down a little bit here in this ball game, but we've seen a few that have been lifted to right field that have been a little bit of an adventure. So I think anything that, and there's a good look at what the wind is doing, but anything up in the air, I think you gotta have teammates around you helping you out, talking to you, and put 2 hands on it. Look it all the way into the glove and wrap it up when it hits the leather.
Now they do get to warm up at other diamonds here, not on this diamond. So if the diamond is that pitch is close to the zone but is a ball, the diamond might not face the same way, so the left fielder on the practice field might have seen it go left to right. When they get out here, it's right to left. Another foul ball down the third base line. You know, you're trying to get your timing when it comes to a ground ball or a fly ball, but wind is a little different. It's hard to replicate that. in this scenario where you don't get to be on the same diamond.
Yeah, it's tough. And if you're in your home field and you play on that home field all the time, you know the little nuances of those kinds of things. But when you're only up here for 3 games, sometimes it is hard to figure things out.
And Riley Holmgren will now step in to throw her 9th pitch of this at bat. And it's a called 3rd strike. And I don't think Holmgren threw 9 pitches in the whole 1st inning.
Boy, caught that outside corner right at the knees. And that is a very tough pitch to have to hit and put in play. But you got to figure out a way to go out and spoil it so you can stay at bat. But she's going to continue to work there. She's getting that call, and these Assumption hitters are not going after it.
Nicole Yoder, the junior, evens up the count at a ball and a strike. Yoder played last year. She was called a young leader on the squad, and she's one of the ones they look to now. She fouls it out of play off the right side. And this is a squad, Laura, with a couple of seniors, but man, the heart and soul of their offense are all going to be back next year.
They have done a really good job of building this program and getting those younger kids to buy into the whole system, and they just keep bringing them up and bringing them up.
2nd strikeout of the inning and the game as we play 1-0 Norsemen.
The PBS Summer of Adventure continues with 10 that changed America.
That is mind-boggling engineering.
No passport required.
Where would we be without the Mexican-American chefs?
Earth's Natural Wonders.
This is a 200-meter drop.
And Kingdoms of the Sky.
Wow, amazing.
10 that changed America. No passport required. Earth's Natural Wonders and Kingdoms of the Sky. Part of the PBS Summer of Adventure.
Tune in to Iowa Public Television Tuesday at 7.
Join the conversation online with Iowa Public Television. Follow us on Facebook. Connect with us on all our social networks.
Have you been inclined before? I don't know. I've been inclined. And we're inclined to see a pretty good game right here. 1-0 early on. The Roland-Story Norsemen lead the Davenport Assumption Knights. Paul Yeager and Laura Leonard here on Iowa Public Television on this Friday afternoon. Class 3A, game 1 of today. 1 of 3. First pitch of the 3rd to Madison Freest is in there for a ball. Freest grounded out back in, or she was hit by pitch and then erased on a ground ball. Back in the 1st, rips another one in the hole. Good stop by Yoder, but she is going to have no chance at getting Freest down the line.
Great job of keeping that ball in the infield. Yoder just lays out and gets it, but cannot get up in time to throw out Freest. And Roland-Story starting off like they want to, get that lead runner on and then have different situations that you can utilize with the top part of this order.
You saw Amber Doyle walk across right in front of us between innings as the bunt is down. That's it. Kelly Fields throws to first in time as Jenna Clark will get credit for the sacrifice that goes 1-3 for the first out, but more importantly for Roland-Story, Freest goes to second. Doyle had given a 5 to Freest, and Freest had, I don't know if you saw the big smile on her face. I think Roland-Story's having fun today.
Well, they were playing a little pepper before the ball game. They were out there hitting the ball around, playing a little pepper, chanting, cheering, and so, yeah, I think they're loose and ready to go. And that's what you want to be in a title game. You can't have too many nerves.
I didn't see any sign that said no pepper, so I guess they can play it. As the courtesy runner is Madison Geis. She's actually the pinch runner. Ground ball towards the right side. Playable. Gets the runner again over is Haley Lowe. And Geis will go to third. Amber Doyle, no stranger to Harlan Rogers, played here. Won a state championship back in 1995 when she played for Ottumwa. Another program that has a great storied tradition that just hasn't been here in a while.
They haven't, and what a great coach she played for, and Frank Houston down at Ottumwa. They were up here all the time, it seemed like, with their squads and their program that they had. They've just kind of fallen on hard times. They're starting to work their way back, though. Their program's an up-and-coming one.
The 2-0 to Holmgren is inside. Holmgren in the quarterfinal went 2 of 4 with a double. She hit into a fielder's choice back in the first. Roland-Story has sent a lot of batters to the plate in this game. They're already on the second time through the order, and that's a ground fly. That's going to get through for a base hit. Fielded by Allen, and driving in a run is Riley Holmgren. 2-0 Roland-Story.
In her last at bat, she stepped to the plate with the opportunity to knock in a run, but hit into a fielder's choice. This time, she laces one over the top of the second baseman, Wardlow, just out of the reach of her glove. Knocks in the second run for Roland-Story.
The courtesy runner will be Reagan Schmitz, a freshman. And a 2-out hit, Laura. Those two can also be big.
Those 2-out rallies, a lot of time, this isn't quite a rally yet, but a lot of times with those 2 outs and you get a key hit like that, it picks everybody else up in the dugout, and those hits start coming.
Ripped down the left field line, but foul just off of Carly Salmon's hands. Goes the ball from Sydney Mathis as we approach the bottom part of the order, and that also is one of those when you can get production out of the bottom part of your lineup. Change-up misses. Great stop by Wohlers behind the plate. That looked like a Valinas type move right there.
Yeah, Wohlers just doing a great job behind the plate, and does a good job of handling both pitchers. Usually sees 2 pitchers in a game.
Right back to Kelly. Knocks it down, throws on to first. Great composure by Kelly. Excellent play to retire Roland-Story, but not before they get a run here. And when you're playing right, you know, within 60 feet of the plate, you always got to be ready.
There's a smash right back up the middle, and I think they're going to take a look at Kelly. She got it, it looks like maybe right on the hip, but I think they're going to tend to her when she gets back in the dugout.
Yes, I did, thank you.
So Riley Holmgren had a big base hit, and she's also faced the minimum in this ball game. And let's take a look at what she does in the circle. She's headed to DePaul, and this is what the Blue Demons are going to get.
Well, she certainly gets a lot of very good extension and a lot of leg drive. Has a lot of different pitches that she throws, a lot of different grips, and a lot of different ways that she can get the ball to move for her. And she can intimidate you coming right at you in that circle.
Holmgren, as we mentioned earlier, this is her first time playing for her school team. And I asked her, who recruited you harder, the coach or your teammates? And she said it was pretty even.
Well, she said she had the opportunity. She played some travel ball, ended up signing with DePaul, and decided that, you know, why not be with my good friends, my high school friends, for one season here at Roland-Story, see if we can pull things together. And they have. They pulled things together, and they're playing for his championship.
And here's the thing. She wasn't even the main pitcher for the entire season, as that first pitch to Emma Johnson is a called strike. Sydney Mathis has just as many coming into the tournament as she had more starts than Holmgren. That pitch is lifted towards left. It hangs up enough for Talon Phillips to make the grab.
They had made some adjustments defensively with the left-handed hitter up there. They had brought the outfield in a little bit. Infield was in a few steps and playing for that lefty slapper.
And coming in now will be Hannah Wislander, who's playing first today. Takes the first pitch. Short hop fielded by the shortstop, Weaver, who throws across the diamond. She trapped it, kept it in front of her, made a nice play. 2 outs.
That's why you play everything out, because don't umpire out there on your own. It short hopped her, but sometimes players will try to sell that to the umpire, like, hey, I caught it, show it to him. Go ahead and play it out, and she did just that and got Wislander as she tried to hustle down the first baseline.
And the pitch to the first one to Olivia Allen is a called strike. One of the 3 seniors in Coach Ron Farrell's lineup. Allen knocks that one into the screen, and it'll be 0-2.
The bottom part of this order for Davenport Assumption, the last 2 hitters for the tournament, 5 for 12, so they're producing at the bottom part of the order and turning it over to the top part.
Umpire calls down to third on the review if she went, and that's a no from Gerald Boway. So it'll be a ball and 2 strikes to Allen. Lifted to right, caught by Julian Clark. That was a nice play. As it moved left to right, it looked like a spell out of Harry Potter's wand right there.
That ball, it moved every which way it could possibly move, but she was able to pull that one in.
All right, so now Hannah Kelly, I take that back. Hannah Kelly is not going out to the circle. We're going to see a new pitcher for Assumption here, but let's get you caught up a little bit on Allie Timmons. The junior comes in, and Laura, you had mentioned that Kelly maybe took a hit to the hand there, and so that'll bring in Allie Timmons, a junior. She has started 18 games this season with a 16-2 record, and she has an ERA of 2.14. She has pitched already in the tournament. She pitched an inning and a third and had 2 strikeouts in the quarterfinal. In the semifinal, she pitched 2 1/3, walked 2, struck out 5. And so now it'll be a new lineup for Roland-Story to figure out, as they'll have to face Allie Timmons. And we're going to talk now with Roland-Story's head coach, Amber Doyle. Coach, you get a good run in the first and another run. Is that something you wanted to do today, was jump out early?
Well, wouldn't you want to?
I would think, but I'm not coaching. You are.
State championship game. I know. No, I'm talking to you. No, I mean, obviously it's nice when you put pressure on consistently and score runs where you can, and the girls did what we've been working on, which was be aggressive on the bases, and hopefully we can get some more here.
Holmgren's faced the minimum. What is she doing well?
Everything. This dude's pretty easy to coach, sir.
I think so. That's very good. That's Amber Doyle, head coach at Roland-Story.
Thank you.
As we mentioned, she played. She knows what it's like to be on this stage. That's a huge advantage, but the same thing can be said for Assumption. This is the team that played here last year. These 2 teams, probably the most comfortable we'll see today on the field in the final.
I would say so, and you can just tell by the demeanor of Amber Doyle, I think her team has taken on that personality as well.
So Hannah Kelly goes to first. So she stays in the game, and Timmons comes in a little earlier than normal. Normally it's in that 5th inning. And Timmons is more of a pitcher like her sister, doesn't pitch to contact, gets a lot more movement, would you say, Laura?
She's a pitcher that throws a lot of rise balls, and in talking with Anna Wohlers, she said that they're 2 completely different pitchers, that Kelly will spin the ball, has a lot of movement. Timmons likes to throw that rise ball, maybe a little bit more speed on her pitches.
And the Roland-Story fans feeling a little bit more. They are one of the loudest cheering teams. Timmons spins it, and it's lifted and drifting out of play and reaching the stands.
And you're right, they've gone to Timmons a little earlier than they normally do. It's usually 5th inning, maybe 6th inning that they will go to Timmons. And so I think that Coach Ron Farrell just wants to change things up a little bit.
A liner into right, base hit, goes in front of the right fielder. And then nearly thrown out at second, but the ball gets away. And now at second base with nobody out is Jessica Hovick.
Taking some chances on the base paths, but again, a little bit of what Assumption does to their opponents. That ball gets into the gap, and Hovick turning, chugging hard down there, and that throws there. If she catches it clean, she's probably out.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, you just ask me, is it better to be lucky or good? And it's better to be lucky sometimes.
So now Allison Coughlin shows bunt, pulls it back, and Hovick being aggressive down at second. So Coughlin, she had the sac bunt back in the second. In the semifinal game, she was 1 of 2 with a double. She watches that one go out of the zone. She said, Allison told me yesterday that she gets a little, or on Wednesday, that she gets pretty nervous. She shakes. Big opportunity there, gets the bunt down. They're gonna not look at, they're gonna look at third, but then go back to first. Kelly wisely turns and throws to her second baseman.
Well, she didn't have any nerves on that one. Did exactly what she's supposed to do. Turns, squares, catches that ball with the bat, lays it down. Good job over there by Hannah Kelly, just coming into the ball game. Different perspective, coming out of the circle, moving over to first base, makes a good throw to get the out.
So Julianne Clark waves at the first one to fall behind.
And here's another hitter that the bottom part of the order, but is hitting over 300. Does a good job from that number 9 slot to get that rotation and flip the order over to get it back to the top.
Clark was 2 of 3 back in the quarterfinal win against Columbus back on Tuesday. Another one, that's a called third strike, as Julianne Clark will sit down. And that's the first strikeout for Allie Timmons.
Timmons is really working on the inside. Look at that ball break into the hitter. Just no chance to even take a swipe at it.
Top of the order, Susie Weaver, third at bat of the game here in the 4th.
You can see she's really choking up on that bat.
Weaver walked to start the game, grounded out. Another one spun, lifted towards left, and the catch is made to retire Roland-Story here in the 4th.
That was a spectacular play in left field. Emma Johnson.
You're watching the state tournament on Iowa Public Television.
Hi, I'm Charity Nebbe, host of Iowa Ingredient. More and more viewers are becoming sustaining members to support Iowa Public Television because it's easy and hassle-free. You simply choose an amount to give each month through your bank account or through your credit card, and you're set. It's a great way to support the shows you love month after month. You can give online or you can call 800-728-2828. Thank you so much.
Coming up on this episode of Iowa Outdoors.
I love writing and illustrating. There was a playwright, Horton Foote, who said that you don't find stories, stories find you. And I think that's the same with nature. You might not know nature, but nature knows you and keeps pulling you back.
Iowa Outdoors, Saturday morning at 9.
This is Fort Dodge, Iowa, home of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union State Softball Championships at the Harlan and Hazel Rogers Complex on the north side of Fort Dodge. We're right across the street from the airport, so Laura, your jet will be waiting for you to go back home after this one, hopefully yet today.
Yeah, don't speak too quickly.
We have 3 of them to play, and this one is a good one so far. Roland-Story, which is Story City, north of Ames, just along I-35. Playing Davenport Assumption, which is on the center-west part of Davenport, along I-80 and Highway 61 in the Quad Cities. Hello, Quad Cities. I'm required to say that as an old employee.
I was going to say, I thought you had a pretty good fan club over there in Davenport.
Well, part of it is because we've talked to the Assumption folks 3 straight years, as waving and missing is Olivia Wardlow, and she's down on strikes, and that's the 3rd one of the game for Holmgren.
Wardlow just fooled by it and tries to hold up. That ball's just taken off on her, and she went through the zone.
The ball's coming through.
As Ron Farrell.
Just let him call it. If he calls it, I'm okay with it.
So Coach Farrell not 100% on board with that last call, was maybe looking for a referral, and that's something that the umpires do try to do, but if the umpire on the scene says, I saw it cleanly, I don't need help.
I don't need help. It's their call. I mean, they're the person in charge, and so I think that's what Coach Farrell is saying. Let's ask for a little help on that one.
As our friend Kathy Creighton would tell us, it's a judgment call, and you can't argue judgment.
Well, and you know, if you're sure of it and that's the way you saw it, and you think that it's the right call, you got to stay with it.
And that bunt gets down for Leah Nelson. Holmgren short hopped it, and by that time it was too late down the line, and the first base runner, she did cleanly short hop it, and then one of those bang bang plays, and Nelson is on board for the game's first hit for Davenport Assumption, and it comes here in the bottom of the 4th. That'll bring in Anna Wohlers, the freshman. This is their big stick, and that first one is on the outside part of the plate for a called strike.
And sometimes when a pitcher has really been shutting down a lineup, all it takes is for something like that, a little bunt, to get everybody going in that dugout, and so probably picking up Assumption a little bit.
The second pitch is caught and then thrown down to second, and stealing second is Leah Nelson. And it's a ball and a strike, and this is what Assumption wanted to do. They just haven't been able to do it because they haven't been on base.
Haven't been able to get anybody on to
Nelson flew.
Go to their bag of tricks, and that's what they like to do.
Fly ball towards left, and that's going to get down, go all the way to the fence. Rounding and scoring will be Leah Nelson. Cruising into second with a stand-up double is Anna Wohlers, and Assumption cuts the lead in half.
Great piece of hitting by Wohlers, and I think with giving up the base hit, the first base hit, then the stolen base, everybody is just emotionally a little bit out of sorts for Roland-Story. That pitch is up, and Wohlers did a great job of leveling off, going with that pitch and dumping it into left field.
Coach Doyle is going to go out and have a conversation, and there will be a courtesy runner that goes down to second. Aaron Ackerman.
So don't change over game. You guys are playing really well. Right? We knew they would score runs. We know they're a good team. Just don't let them eat you up. You're fine. We've got 1 out. Check her, get the out at 1, catch the balls in the air, close the inning. Okay? We come back, we score again. Hey, close it on 3. 1, 2, 3, close it. Doing great, guys. Keep it up.
Positive reinforcement. That is something that Coach Doyle likes to do. They do a lot of mental visualization. I said, so what do you do, Coach, for your team and help their visualization and the mental game? I start talking and they say, we got it, Coach, we got it. They kind of played her off a little bit.
You know, you could tell that this team has good chemistry, that everybody's on the same page.
Pop up to right, and a fair ball. I'm going to say that's a fair ball. Went off the second baseman's glove. Right on the line. That was a tough play for Mathis. And she's at second, but Wohlers has to hold. The courtesy runner, Ackerman, has to hold as that ball just kept going and going and going.
And that is right on the line, right on the line. And that's where the wind has come into play. But Wohlers had to hold up over there at second, thinking that it might be caught.
It's where the ball's at.
Right, but if her feet are in, it looked like my feet were in foul and off the glove.
I'm watching the ball, I didn't know where her feet were at, but I'm watching the ball and it was at the line. Okay.
And it was right on that line. And they're going to rule that an error.
And it was very, very close.
So now, Assumption has runners at second and third. One out. Carly Salmon at the plate, and that first pitch is a ball.
And I misspoke. I said Wohlers second to third. That's Ackerman over there at third base. I apologize about that. Didn't get the note down in my scorebook.
So Kelly is at second. Salmon, they were doing the suicide squeeze. That's something that shouldn't be a surprise for anybody. That Assumption would try to do it, and I wouldn't put it past him to do it again.
No, I wouldn't either.
Lifted high towards center, back towards the wall, off the side and center. It's 1 run scores, 2 run score. It's another double as Salmon puts the Knights on top 3-2. Wohlers, or Ackerman and Kelly score, and Salmon just crushed it.
I thought that one, when it got up in the air, might get out of here, had a chance, but it just sails. A good job by Clark playing it off the fence to get the ball in quickly. They just could not complete the relay, and 2 runs come in, and Assumption goes up 3-2.
And it all started with a short, hot ball right in front of the pitcher.
And we go back, and sometimes it's just that. It's just the little things that try to, or that will shake a team back into reality. Maybe not playing as tight, breathe a sigh of relief that, okay, we got that first hit. Let's get going, let's play our game.
Maddie Loken will go down to second and run for Salmon. 3 runs in here in this fourth. And Assumption's feeling it now. This is how this game could have gone early. Riley Holmgren had retired 10 of the first. She was 10 of 10 of retiring the batters, and that gets away from the catcher. And now Loken goes to third. And that's going to be ruled a pass ball on Haley Lowe. Yoder gets the bunt down, runs, scores, gets away from the catcher. Yoder's going to go down to second. And the Knights score again.
We saw them try to squeeze one home earlier in this inning. This time they get it done, and runner was going, Loken was going as soon as the pitch was going. You've got to commit to that, and that's hard to do as a base runner. But she's coming, the bunt gets down, and a good job by Frias to flip it like you're supposed to do. But runner was there too quickly in Loken, and she slides in.
The third baseman and the runner were step and step trying to get there first, and the runner has the advantage because they don't have to pick up the ball and make the catch.
Yeah, their eyes are just set on where they need to go. They're put their head down, they're digging for home. A lot of things that the infield has to pay attention to. The runner, where the ball is, fielding it cleanly.
Well, now it's the bottom of the order, 7, 8, 9. Emma Johnson. She flied out back in the third. Slap towards short. The throw over to second is there. No play to third as Yoder sprints across. For Roland-Story, that's out number 2. For Davenport Assumption, run number 5 is standing at third base.
Hot shot over to Weaver, and the infield was pulled in a little bit to try to cut down some angles, and that ball got to Weaver in a hurry. Did a good job looking that runner back, but Yoder still took third base on the throw across the diamond.
This is the 8th night to bat here in the 4th. Prior to this, they'd only sent 9 in the first 3 innings. Fouled into the screen.
Well, one time through the lineup gives you an opportunity to study a pitcher, see what they're doing, how they're throwing it, what kind of spin she has on the ball. As we said, there's not a lot of holes in this lineup here for Davenport Assumption.
The 0-2 is high. Holmgren would love to get out of this 4th. Wislander. Called third strike. The 4th strikeout of the game comes at a big time for Riley Holmgren, but not before Roland-Story, or before Davenport Assumption, as that pitch, catcher doesn't have to move the glove very much, as the Knights score 4 times to change this game, flip the script.
Well, and that, you go back to the bunt that was beat out over there at first. That got things started, and then the base hits started to come, and Roland-Story, I think, got frazzled a little bit and lost their focus. Still a lot of time to get that focus back.
Coach Ron Farrell, you like to put pressure on teams. It just took to the 4th inning, but man, you really applied the pressure in that inning. How'd you do it?
Well, their pitcher's pitching a heck of a game. It wasn't us waiting around. She's just kept us off balance to where we couldn't do it. The girls just stayed focused. They kind of regrouped. We looked like we were on our heels there early. And that, much credit to her for pitching so well. But there they kind of looked a little more relaxed, and we started mixing it up. And that's exactly what happened. We pressured them.
Speaking of pitching, you've made a change. Allie Timmons comes in. She had a great first inning. How long do you stay with her?
Oh, I wish I knew. I didn't plan on going to her this early. Hannah was doing fine. They were just doing a great job hitting that good approach, and they were working Hannah's drop ball away to the opposite field, and I just felt we needed a momentum change, and I was hoping for a couple strikeouts from Allie, and she came in and did what I needed her to do.
Thank you, Coach. It's Ron Farrell, head coach at Davenport Assumption, and he's had a busy spring. He coaches St. Ambrose, and then he comes over not very far down the street, down Rushholm, I believe, if memory serves, and down Locust, and then there he is. He's coaching the Assumption Knights, and now you could say, Laura, they're just a couple innings away from repeating.
Well, they scored at a good time midway through the game, putting the pressure on back. Now, you know, Assumption's been here before, so now they're in the driver's seat. They're comfortable. They're riding the wave of momentum, but this is a scrappy Roland-Story team, and it's going to be interesting to see how they match up here against Timmons. I think they kind of felt like they had Kelly's number. They were hitting her. They were confident at the plate. Now a little bit of a different look and have to take some time to adjust.
And when you're coming in late into a game like Timmons does in some situations, coming in a pressure spot is nothing for her, as she gets another one spun in there for a strike. You know, some pitchers, I can only start, and others are I can only finish.
And I think Timmons is a player, just put me in, coach. I'll throw whenever you want me, if second inning, sixth inning, whatever it might be. I'll get you some strikes.
Fly ball is going to get foul. It's going to, no, it is going to come back fair. Yoder calls off Salmon to make the catch.
Well, that's what you call a major league pop-up right there. That one went straight up the chute. And Salmon right away peeled off of the play as Yoder called it. You can see right there, Salmon pulling away. She didn't have a great angle on it, and Yoder did the entire way.
You like to be coming in on the ball, not going back on it, and that's what was going on there with Yoder. Another one that's out of the reach of anybody as Clark fouls that one off. So Friest is retired here in the 5th.
And with Timmons in the circle, throwing a lot of rise balls up in the zone, you got to adjust as a hitter, because otherwise we're going to see a lot of those pop-ups.
Had a chance to talk to Allie Timmons' mom and dad last night. They were here watching the Regina and Louisa Muscatine. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, go back to IPTV.org and watch the replay, because both games last night, Laura, fantastic games. Great finishes. Both won in the last at-bat of the 7th. Popped up again. This one could stay, but just gets out of the reach of Wohlers. And Timmons last year, you know, Allie wasn't pitching. It was her sister. You know, it was Nicole. And Nicole's mom was one that paces quite a bit. She can't sit and watch. I saw her a couple of days ago, and I said, so how is it going? She goes, it's great because she's not pitching regularly. My daughter's not pitching as much. This one's lifted towards center, but very playable for Leah Nelson. And there's 2 away. And so I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Nicole had 20 strikeouts in that game, set a all-class record for 7 innings. Coach Farrell took her out with 1 out, or with 2 outs in the 7th inning, and you know, you're out from winning a state championship. As Allie throws it in there for a called strike. And Coach Farrell, what he likes to do is give his players an opportunity to get an ovation. That's what he wanted. She absolutely earned that right to get it. But apparently, people stop Coach Farrell who don't know him on the streets in Davenport and say, what were you doing? What were you thinking? He's never been more questioned on a call than taking out a pitcher who was 1 short of striking out every batter in the game.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to that. I mean, I totally understand wanting to give the player their just rewards, give them the ovation, but I also understand that why not give her the opportunity to really make a huge record and make some history.
And Haley Lowe gets a new life here, down a ball and 2 strikes. Lifts that one foul. And you want to talk about stress. Her mother, Haley's mother, played here on the last Roland-Story team that was at state. And I asked, so did Mom, you know, help you in softball or push you? She goes, Mom didn't want me to play softball. It was too stressful.
You know, it's interesting how you evolve as a player and what you went through and things that come so natural to you as an athlete. And then when you have your kids out there playing, you don't want to have to go through it because it's so much more stressful for, as a parent, to watch their kids play and go through games and be in a title game where there is a lot of stress.
Her mom, Colleen, was the pitcher that year. As good at bat here by Haley as she fouls another one off. You know, you get nervous for your kids playing Little League. I can't imagine what they get, you know, in a championship game, the nerves for those parents. You know, we've seen parents here that they are walking underneath the stands and occasionally they dip in and look and see, and others sit there and they might just have a lollipop in their mouth and whatever it takes to get you through. The 2-2 pitch popped up or fouled back into the screen.
Well, Mom, Colleen's going to have a few more nerve-wracking years as her daughter's going to go to Northwestern College and continue to play softball. So an opportunity to figure out how to maybe calm things down over the next 4 years as your daughter plays in college.
And now Haley has battled all the way back. And she'll now make it a 3-2 pitch. The 9th pitch of this at-bat is ripped foul, and we'll do it again. And, you know, Haley, we haven't had her to see, she hasn't stepped out and, you know, barked out the signals, but she's really in charge when she's behind the plate. had a chance to talk to her brother after the game on Wednesday. And I said, "Are you Haley's brother?" And she, "Yeah." I go, "Hey, what's she like at home? Does she try to run the house?" She goes, "Absolutely. I have to do what she says."
Well, she's take charge on the field, and she certainly is, as a catcher, that's what you want behind the plate. You want somebody that can see the game, get everybody in the position, get them fired up, and be that leader.
And swung on and missed for Haley. And that is out 3, strikeout number 2 for Timmons. And Timmons has come in and shut down the Norsemen of Roland-Story with pitches like this.
After a good battle, Lowe just swings right through it.
We'll be right back.
The Iowa Broadcast News Association has recognized Iowa Public Television for excellence with awards in multiple categories. Market to Market for features about farm and agribusiness, and in-depth series. IPTV sports coverage of Girls Championship Softball for sports play-by-play. Quality local programming from Iowa's only statewide network.
IPTV Passport offers more than 1,000 hours of your favorite PBS shows on demand, anytime, anywhere. Shows like Downton Abbey, Masterpiece, The Great British Baking Show, Rick Steves' Europe, Nova, and so much more. Simply donate at least $5 monthly, ongoing, or $60 each year, and start watching today. With IPTV Passport, you can catch up on old favorites or binge on new releases whenever you want.
We're stretching here in Fort Dodge as we go to the bottom half of the 5th. And it was Roland-Story getting on the board in the 1st and 3rd and had a 2-0 lead until Assumption comes back with 4 runs in the 4th. Kind of rattled Roland-Story just a little bit, Laura, and it really did kind of appear Riley Holmgren was just kind of out of it for a little bit.
Well, you're cruising along, and then all of a sudden, you give up that first base hit, and you start thinking about it, and then things start falling into place for Assumption, and they just they rode that momentum, and they, you hear people say all the time that hitting is contagious, and it sure was for Davenport Assumption in that last inning. So see if Roland-Story and Riley Holmgren can get back on track, or if Assumption's going to keep hitting away and stealing bases.
And the second pitch to Olivia Allen is out of the zone. She's 0 for 1 on the game, lined out to right. Back in the 3rd. She bats here in the 5th. And gets her bat not even to the zone, but fouls it off.
Just got it off the bottom part of off the knob of the bat. She was trying to pull back, and that ball was up and in and just glanced off the bottom part.
The 1-2. Lifted behind short. It's going to drop. Weaver just couldn't quite get a handle on it. And the leadoff is again on board for the Knights.
Weaver's going with it and drifting out there just out of the reach of her glove. That ball kind of got held up, and the outfield is playing deep enough. They didn't have an opportunity to come in and get that one.
Allen was 2 for 3 in the quarterfinal against Benton. That was a rematch of the title game 2 years ago. If you remember, Amber Pfizer had put on a pitching performance in that game. That was the record that Nicole Timmons broke last year.
We saw a great performance a year ago. That one by Amber Pfizer several years ago was just as impressive. And she's gone on to have a nice career as well at the University of Minnesota.
And Nicole Timmons at Drake. And they had a pretty good season too. Those really Bulldogs, do you know anything about them Bulldogs?
A little bit about the Bulldogs. They did have a great season, and Nicole Timmons had a big part in that.
Nice bunt put down by Olivia Wardlow. And Wardlow will move the runner, Olivia Allen, to second.
She shows bunt, pulls back, and then gets the bat out there and lays it down perfectly right in front of home plate to move that runner in advance. And with 1 out, another runner in scoring position, and you want to be able to get another insurance run on the board as you get later into this ball game, because you never know when Roland-Story's bats are going to get going again.
Leah Nelson, she had a triple, and we saw how quick she got to second, lays down that bunt. It's going to be a race to the bag and be out by 2 steps. Another sacrifice bunt fielded by Freest on to Mathis, who was covering. Actually, I think Hovick stayed home on that one, sorry. So that puts Allen to third, and Anna Wohlers, the freshman, she broke open, she tied the game. Her courtesy runner, Ackerman, tied the game, but Wohlers broke the scoring seal for the Knights last inning on that double. Wohlers 4 for 4 in the semifinal with 4 runs batted in, a home run and a double. And then in the quarterfinal, she was 1 of 4. So she's had a good tournament. Swings through that one.
Yeah, coming into this ball game, 5 of 8 for the tournament, a couple of doubles, 6 RBIs and 1 home run. That's a pretty good tournament right there, and she's looking to add some more to that.
Only a freshman. Last year, didn't really play that much. And I would imagine Coach Farrell was hoping, you know, kind of knew, well, I've got some other players, maybe Yoder will step up a little bit more. I know I've got Hannah Kelly, you know. You don't really think he was counting on Anna Wohlers being a leading contributor to this squad this year, like she's done.
Well, and you lose Emma Valinas from behind the plate, who was your leader. And so, yeah, you have a freshman coming in, and is she going to step up? Okay, is she just going to be serviceable? Is she just going to do what she needs to do, call the pitches? Or she doesn't call the pitches, but handle the pitching staff. Instead, she's had a breakout season, and he said, who would have thought we graduate Valinas and we get this phenom of a young catcher that we get to work with for the next 4 years? He goes, that's just been a nice surprise to have.
And now she's worked the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes from the left batter's box here. 2 outs, runner at third. The pitch. Ground ball towards second. Mathis over to Hovick. And the Knights lead 1, but send another few batters to the plate. Roland-Story's got to get going as we go to the 6th here as they trail by 2. And it's been an exciting game so far. Who knows what's in store? It started early on for Roland-Story back in the first. They got the leadoff runner on with a walk and then scored on a nice play that got away. And then Roland-Story would score again in the 3rd. As Freest had the hit and was driven in by Holmgren. But then it was all about the 4th inning for Davenport Assumption. On that long fly, Nelson scored, Ackerman scored after Wohlers had the base hit. Kelly reached on an error and scored. Salmon, and her courtesy on her Loken score. That was Kelly scoring, and here's that great bunt, the squeeze bunt. And that's how we got to 4-2. 2-5-2 for Roland-Story, 4-4-1 for Davenport Assumption. Those 2 errors, Laura, kind of big deal in this game.
Those are always things that come back to haunt you, and it's the good, solid defense. You can do everything, field every ball, keep it in front, get the outs, have no errors, avoid walks as well. Walks and errors are always things that come back to hurt a team.
So Holmgren will lead off for Roland-Story here in the 6th. It'll be Holmgren, Mathis, and Hovick, and if anybody gets aboard, Coughlin. And Timmons feeling it. She'd be your pitcher next year for Assumption. And Coach Farrell had said after that Benton game 2 years ago when they lost in the title game, he says, well, that's the year somebody's going to get us. I think we're going to be good for the next 5 to 6 years. This is year 3, and you'd have to say it's going to be a big mountain for Roland-Story to climb right now against this Assumption team.
Well, I think they have the confidence back on their side, and that 4th inning took a little something out of Roland-Story, and they need to try to reel that back in and regain that momentum and that positive feeling that they had those first 3 innings.
Timmons misses on the inside, and let's not lose sight of the fact they changed pitchers. They went from Kelly to Timmons.
You know, we thought that that was maybe because Kelly was hurt as she took that comebacker off the hand or the hip, and you thought, okay, maybe they're going to make that change for that reason. But I think Coach Farrell realized, boy, we got to do something to shake it up right now. We got to make the change now, and what a great job of going with that gut feeling as a coach. Sometimes you don't act on those things, and then you're kicking yourself for it later on.
Holmgren, the 2-2 pitch. Fouled into the screen. Just to the left of our camera operator, Marlon Schramm, behind home. The crew really likes the setup of this 2 games, then 3 games. It doesn't make for as long of a day. The Union, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Jean Berger before the day is done, see how she thinks about this different changes. Holmgren sends another one into the stands. So what's different is quarterfinals played the same. Monday, Tuesday, and it used to be Wednesday was consolation day. Now it was semifinal day, and then yesterday, the only games that were played were the 3rd place game in the championship in Class 1A and 2A. Called 3rd strike on Holmgren, and she sits down, and that's the 3rd strike out of the game for Timmons. So then you had a short turnaround from your first game to your second, but you had a whole day off, 2nd to 3rd, and you can't really study any plays or any pitches like that from Timmons if you're Holmgren.
That one, you know, your eye level, you're thinking up, 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 and then she just busts you inside just like that pitch right there, working it low. And so she's doing a nice job of mixing pitches and mixing location.
Sydney Mathis was 3 of 4 with a double in that quarterfinal, trying to get something started. She's probably got a song or 2 in her head. She's big into music when she comes to the park. She listens to either Sam Smith or Kesha. But she says the big thing that this team does is sing the song Champion by Carrie Underwood. And early on, they were thinking Champion. Now they're still singing that song, but the chorus is a little fainter. How do you get that confidence back, Laura?
Well, we saw it happen for Assumption, where they got the bunt down, and that just turned things around. They just need to have something good happen. They need to have a confidence builder happen. And if that's a base hit or getting on base by an error or whatever it might be, that's sometimes all it takes for a team to flip the switch.
1 out here in the 6th. They're running out of opportunities to flip that switch, and maybe that's it right there. As Mathis is hit in the left leg by a pitch. And for the first time since Timmons has come into the game, Roland-Story has a base runner.
She's been trying to own the inside part of the plate ever since she's come in. Gets a little too far in, right off the thigh of Mathis.
And you don't have to move. You don't have to make an attempt to move in the batter's box. That's your area, your sanctuary, if you want to call it that. You don't have to make an effort to get out of the way of the pitch. And it's just a matter of how big of a bruise do you want and where do you want that bruise.
It's a badge right now. Then you can show people and say, hey, I picked that up in the state championship game.
Jessica Hovick.
28 for 19, thank you.
Okay, I think we're gonna have a runner here coming in. Coming in to run. It's going to be Macy Freest, the 8th grader.
Want to have a little more speed on the base paths in case you need to send that runner on the base hit.
So Freest, I believe, you know some of the members of that Freest family. Were we talking about that? Her mother, see, of all these players, I was thinking that was one.
I think that was Lisa Brinkmeyer
That's
from the
Brinkmeyer
Girls Union.
knows
Went
Freest.
to school.
That's right.
with her parents.
So see, I just put everything with Drake and you together as Hovik strikes out. And that's 4 now for Timmons. That one, yeah, hard to get that rise ball.
Up in the zone, and that's a tough one to lay off when you have the opportunity to see a pitch that you know you can drive because it's up in the zone, and it just keeps rising on you.
And that one just gets out of the zone just a little bit for Allison Coughlin. The Norsemen down 2 here in the 6th. Swung on and missed. And they're just letting her swing away.
Got to make some contact, got to stay in there and just try to battle and get a piece of it, punch it out into the outfield.
Allison Doyle played at Ottumwa, then went on to play at the University of Iowa, the head coach for Roland-Story. And she's been trying to encourage these teams. Then she was an assistant at Iowa City Regina under John Protzman, who just retired. Happened to see John last night here watching his old team, Regina. I said, do you miss coaching? He goes, oh, absolutely. He had back surgery in the offseason. That's ripped down the line towards right and caught. Nice play, right field. Olivia Allen. And the Norsemen are retired here in the 6th. What a snag.
Boy, that one was ripped, but played perfectly, and that's what you do when you know what kind of pitches are going to be thrown. You adjust your defense, and they did.
More energy, running on empty is what I heard. And that was, as you said, a good line to right. A lot more smiles in that Assumption dugout after a play like this.
Boy, did a good job of squaring it up, but you can see where Clark is playing. Excuse me, Olivia Allen out there in right field. And she played it perfectly. And that was right on the line, but that's what you do. You know what pitches are being thrown. You know how to adjust out there in the outfield defensively. And she was in the right spot.
Coach Farrell talking to his assistants there as they try to strategize here a little bit in that inning. And, you know, the coaches get a little self-conscious when they know we're listening in on a lot of their conversations, and we say, oh, you know, we're not really listening at this point or, you know, this point. And he had covered the microphone there, and his assistant Mike Ackerman there, he was at Davenport Assumption when Ron took that job over. He was the only holdover from the old staff, and the other assistant is Caitlin Anderson, Andreessen, who had played right field back on that 16 team that was here at State a couple of years ago that we've talked about a couple of times. So Ackerman's been around Assumption softball a little bit longer. Has seen Hannah Kelly play for a number of years.
You know, the coaches covering up the mic. It's like the pitchers and catchers go out and cover their face with their glove and their mitt, and just so nobody can read lips and see what the strategy is.
As Kelly watches that one get called a strike. And now she's behind a ball and 2 strikes.
All kinds of things that go on in the game of softball. A lot of superstitions that all these players and coaches have. And, you know, one for Assumption is, and it's Coach Farrell, if they're winning, they're to wear the same jerseys all the time. Now, they wash them in between. Thank goodness. You hope. But they are wearing the same jerseys when they get on a winning streak.
Comebacker to Holmgren over to Hovik for the first out here in the 6th. However, there are some players that might not wash those socks.
It's been known to happen.
It's been known to happen. And, you know, there was an assistant that filled out the, there was a questionnaire about some of the, you look at those socks and, you know, you write things on the back of your shoes and on the inside of your arms. And whoever filled out the sheet, it wasn't Coach Farrell because it called him the most superstitious of them all.
You know, coaches have their things. They have all kinds of little deals that they do, and maybe people don't notice it, maybe the players don't notice it, but obviously whoever filled out that questionnaire has been watching Coach Farrell fairly closely.
Well, and Coach Doyle, same way. You know, there's a lot of superstitions there. Popped up, playable, but tough. And it hits the fence and bounces back as Lowe gives chase. Doyle has a couple of daughters, and Amber's mother had been staying with the family, you know, kind of busy getting ready to coach state softball. And one of the girls, you know, got to brush that hair, and they needed the pink hairbrush. Called third strike as Carly Salmon is struck out here in the 6th. And there's 2 away, 5 on the ball game for Holmgren.
Holmgren really rears back and throws a great pitch on the outside corner, about belt high.
Swung on and missed by Yoder. So Amber Doyle's mother found the hairbrush because she called out, I need the pink one. They found the pink one because when we brush your hair with the pink one, we win.
And they, yeah, it had to be the pink. But, you know, the one thing I thought was interesting, she talked about, well, I've scouted Assumption a little bit because I watched that game last year into the wee hours of the morning, and actually watched the 16-inning game with Regina. And she said, well, heck, I'm already here. I might as well watch the next game. And she said the 2 girls came in and said, Mom, we're hungry. Are you going to feed us? She said, yeah, just a minute. She goes, they came back with a bag of Doritos. And she goes, I let them eat the Doritos, and they both fell asleep on my arms while I was watching softball last year.
And she was trying to text Coach John Protzman with the one hand, but she couldn't get the hand free. Popped up on the infield. Low calls, catches a half a foot in front of the plate. And it's now time for the dramatics. Roland-Story has 3 outs to try to tie it. We'll see how it ends when we return.
So the last time you saw Mary Frances was
about 75 years ago. It's wonderful to see you.
Beat up but won't be broken. Lonesome but always searching.
You've got to struggle out there to live, but all you have to do to die is just give up.
Long days, too many short nights. Wrong ways that almost felt right.
It was such a deep wound.
I would never want to see any history erased.
So keep on, keeping on.
These are your people.
No.
Wow. Need a Kleenex. Really?
To the dreamers, why believers, hanging on to hope by your thread.
You changed my life.
To the soulful, heart open, hopeful, keep on charging ahead. 'Cause when you feel it and you breathe it, it's unforgettable. When you know it and you hold it, it's unforgettable.
Roland-Story sends 9-1-2 to the plate here. They're 3 outs to try to play on, but it's going to be an uphill climb as Clark, Weaver, and Friest are a combined 1 of 8 in this contest. Digging in first is Julianne Clark. Davenport Assumption closing in on their 2nd state title in school history and softball. And the first pitch to Clark is a called strike. All right, you're in the 7th. You're on the bottom side of this. What are you telling your team?
We need base runners. Be smart at the plate. Be selective.
That's going to drop. Base hit.
Get a base hit. That's what I'd tell them.
That leadoff hit always seems to start well.
Just kept the hands back, and that was a nice job of adjusting to that pitch. A little bit up in the zone. Knocks it into left field to start something for Roland-Story.
Clark, the sophomore, is at first. The junior, Susie Weaver, batting from the left side. Shows bunt, gets it down. Timmons fields, throws out at first. Wardlow covering on the 1-4 put out, and that was, you knew it was coming.
You got to get one into scoring position, and you got to get that bunt down. Right back to Timmons. Make them make the play. You want to put the ball in play. Knowing what's on the line, you got to put a little pressure on and make them do the fundamentals.
Madison Friest calls time and is granted the request. A request granted. Freest, her 4th at-bat. She had a single back in the 3rd. Looks at a strike belt high. Roland-Story fans on their feet. Assumption. Some of them are on their feet. They're more nervous than anything. Roland-Story letting it all go right here. 1 out, runner at 2nd. The pitch. Lifted, towering. Look out in the truck, it's coming your way. Foul. Don't hit that truck, our boss is here today. She's gonna have something to say to you.
Freest 12 home runs on the season coming into the tournament. She's number 4 in 3A in home runs.
Lifted again, same spot, it could drop, but it is caught by Nicole Yoder. What a play by Yoder. And just like that, the Knights are 1 out away from a state title. Jenna Clark, the senior, stands in the way of reaching the top of the mountain in Class 3A.
Now, outfield is playing deep, so Emma Johnson was very deep on that last at bat.
Popped up towards right, it's playable and caught, and that's a state title for Davenport Assumption. The Knights ride it again, back-to-back champions in 3A.
Not very often do teams get to go back-to-back, but this Davenport Assumption team has built something special with their program. Won 2 in a row now. And here's a look at the last out. Fly ball out to right field. And it's time to celebrate for the Knights.
Celebrating in daylight this year.
Yeah.
Not at 1:30 in the morning. Heck, they're going to get back to Davenport before that last game even started. Roland-Story. They played a tough schedule.
Great team. You did a great job this year.
Well, you guys are having a state champ, so congratulations, girls. Nice game, ladies.
But Roland-Story, 2nd place to those Davenport Assumption Knights, back-to-back.
I'm sure a few tense moments, though, early on in this ball game as Roland-Story jumped out, got the lead, kind of put Assumption on their heels a little bit, and then that huge 4th inning where they were able to finally get a base hit, finally get to home run, string some hits together, and knock in those 4 runs, which proved to be the winner.
And now we're going to meet the all-tournament team.
Tournament team as selected by the Iowa Girls Coaches Association. From Davenport Assumption, Hannah Kelly. From Roland-Story, Haley Lowe. From Benton Community, Shelby Holsebus. From Albia, Alex Beard. From Albia, Hannah Isley. From Humboldt, Maddie Lang. From Humboldt, Ellie Jacobson. From Roland-Story, Allison Coughlin. From Assumption, Olivia Wardlow. From Roland-Story, Riley Holmgren. And your Class 3A All-Tournament Team Captain, from Davenport Assumption, Anna Wohlers.
You know, in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking, you know, Wohlers is a freshman. If she continues on this, Laura, she could be captain of the team. She could be captain of that team for 3 more years.
She is impressive, and as you say, as a freshman, what she's done and how she's just come in and stepped in without any fear, really. I mean, sometimes as a freshman, you kind of stay back and let the older and the upperclassmen do their thing, but she's really stepped in and taken in a leadership role and shown here today.
You saw a couple of Humboldt and Albia players. Humboldt knocked out Albia in the 3rd place game, so Humboldt 3rd place on a 5-4 win.
Every participating player will receive a commemorative softball provided by Iowa Farm Bureau, title sponsor of the Girls Athletic Union. Presenting awards are members of the IGHSAU Board of Directors, Mr. Roger Francis, Mrs. Deanne Kramer. Congratulations to the runners-up in Class 3A, head coach Amber Doyle, and the Roland-Story Norsemen on an outstanding 2018 softball season. And your 2018 Class 3A State Softball Champions, head coach Ron Farrell and the Knights from Davenport Assumption.
No midnight mass to collect the trophy this year. They do it in the daylight. Davenport Assumption. This was a team only gave up 2 runs, Laura, to get to state. They gave up 2 runs in the title game, down 2-0, come back in the 4th. It all started with just a little squib. Open the door, push, push, press. Works to perfection.
And it does, because once you get on base with Davenport Assumption, that's where they take advantage and take control of the game. And it's that they have the base runners. They've stole a lot of bases this season. And that's what really got them going here in this ballgame. The base hit, the speed, the timely hits, and they are repeat champs.
There's a look at your 2018 state champions in Class 3A, the Davenport Assumption Knights, the Norsemen of Roland-Story, a runner-up in a great campaign as well. This is game 1 of 3 on this championship Friday. Class 4A coming up next, but for now, for Laura Leonard and the entire crew at Iowa Public Television, your 2018 3A champions, Davenport Assumption. So long for just a while from Fort Dodge. Funding for the Iowa Girls High School Softball Championships is provided by
The path to greatness starts early. The Iowa Farm Bureau believes in Iowa's youth and their pursuit of greatness. That's why we're proud to be the title sponsor of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Each student's effort is important, and when one rises, we all rise to a better Iowa.
Fairway, along with Nabisco, Frito-Lay, and Sara Lee, is a proud sponsor of the Iowa Girls Sports Championships. We congratulate all the schools and student athletes participating in this year's Girls High School State Softball Championships. Fairway, proud to care for the places we work and live. By Musco Lighting, the sports lighting specialists, providing lighting systems for you, your project, and your community.